All right, thanks, guys. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're having a great weekend. We do have a nice little slate of NBA games. We also have some college basketball games to get into as well. So let's go ahead and dive into that. And just keep in mind, all starts are Eastern Standard Time for this program. So let's go ahead and get it started with the Lakers at the Timberwolves. That's going to be a 3:30 Eastern tip-off in Minnesota. The T-Wolves open the betting as the 5.5-point favorite with a total at 232. And since those markets open this one up, we're seeing money on Minnesota in the early going here. We're also seeing a lot of movement downward on the total. We actually saw an 8-point move downward when it comes to the total. So right now, Minnesota's -7 with a total moving downward to 224. So once again, the T-Wolves open 5.5 up to -7. Total open 232 down to 224. 55% of the consensus is leaning toward Minnesota. 60% shaded toward the under. And at the moment, the Lakers are plus 240 for some money line cash. Now, the Lakers are a little bit short-handed. They're down Rondo, LeBron, and Kyle Kuzma today. Minnesota on the other side, well, they're scoring 114 points per contest on their home court. They're also 11-5 against the spread in their last 16 at home. Now, scoring-wise, Minnesota is an amazing 10-0 to the over in their last 10 ball games. Give me Minnesota -7 in the over 224 in that one. And before we go ahead and move on, I just want to take a quick time out and just quickly welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Sunday's NBA and college basketball action. But before we go ahead and dive into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out at my website. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. With a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, going back 2 years ago. You're simply costing yourself valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed to that website. Now, memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take a couple of seconds. Link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're currently watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. And with all that said and done, let's go ahead and hop right back into some more lines and personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Magic Clippers, 3:30 tip-off in Los Angeles. The Clippers open the betting as the 6.5-point favorite, and the total at 220 and a hook. And since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement in this one. We did see a 0.5-point move downward on the total. But once again, the Clippers open and remain -6.5. Total open 220 and a half down to 220 even. 67% are leaning Clippers, 71% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Magic are plus 235 for some money line cash. Now, if you like the Magic in this one, they are covering 75% of their ball games that were played at the current point spread. Their defense is also allowing just 104 points per contest away from home. Now, the Clippers, on the other side of things, their defense is allowing 115 points per contest overall for the year. They've also failed to cover in 8 out of their last 10 at home, taking on the Magic. Now, scoring-wise, the Clippers are 12-6 to the over on their home court. Orlando 5-2 to the over in their last 7. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it up, and take Orlando +7 and the over 220 in that one. Next game, Nets Bulls, 3:30 tip-off in Chicago. The Nets open -2 with a total at 208. And since the markets opened that one up, we've seen movement toward Brooklyn and movement toward the over. Right now, Brooklyn's -2.5 with the total moving upward to 208 and a hook. So once again, the Nets open -2 up to -2.5. Total open 208 up to 208 and a hook. 67% are leaning Brooklyn, 72% shaded toward the over, and at the moment the Bulls are plus 120 for some money line cash. Now, if you like Brooklyn in this one, they've been pretty good against the number as of late. They've successfully covered the number in 11 out of their last 15 ball games. They're also 6-1 against the spread in their last 7, taking on Chicago. And speaking of Chicago, they're scoring just 100 points per contest for the year. They're 9-29 straight up overall as the dog. And when it comes to the scoring, Brooklyn is 4-1 to the over in their last 5. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it down, and take Brooklyn -2 in the over, 208.5 in that one. Next game, Heat at the Hawks. 6 o'clock tip-off in Atlanta. The Heat opened the betting as the 6-point favorite, and the total at 221.5. And since that one opened up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we are seeing downward movement on the total in that one. So once again, Miami opened 6 and remains -6. Total opened 221.5 down to 220 even. 59% are leaning Miami, 61% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Hawks are plus 210 for some money line cash. Now, the Heat are 21-16 against the spread overall for the year, 8-2 ATS in their last 10. This Miami defense is allowing just 105 points per contest when traveling. They're also covering 71% of their ball games on the road this year. Now, Atlanta on the other side, completely different story there. They're just 11-27 straight up overall for the year. They're also covering just 31% of their games at home and just 3-9 against the spread in their last dozen on their home court. Now, scoring-wise, Atlanta's 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Miami 6-0 to the over in their last 6 themselves. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Miami -6 in the over. 220 in that one. Next game, Wizards at the Thunder. 7 o'clock tip-off in Oklahoma City. The Thunder opened the betting as the 10.5-point favorite, and the total at 224 and a hook. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of OKC in the early going here. We're also seeing movement upward on the total. Right now, OKC's -10 with the total moving upward to 226. So once again, OKC opened 10.5 down to 10. Total opened 224.5 up to 226. 65% are leaning OKC, 69% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, Washington is plus 455 for some money line cash. Now, if you like Washington to cover the number, they are 3-0 against the spread in their last trio of ball games. Their offense is putting up 113 points per contest overall for the year. Meanwhile, on the other side, Oklahoma City is, they failed to cover in 1 out of their last 2 games that was played at the current point spread. They also scored 107 points or less in 2 out of their last 3, throwing out their last game against Portland. Now, scoring-wise, Oklahoma City's 4-1 to the under in their last 5, 60% to the under in their games at the current posted total. Meanwhile, 4 out of Washington's last 6 stayed under the total themselves. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the road dog in this one. Give me Washington plus 10 in the under, 226 in that one. Next game, Pacers at the Raptors, 7:30 tip-off in Toronto. The Raptors opened the betting as the 4.5-point favorite, and the total at 208 and a hook. And since those markets opened this one up, we've seen a ton of movement on both the spread and the total. Right now, Toronto's -2.5, with the total moving all the way up to 213 and a hook. So once again, Toronto opened 4.5 down to 2.5. Total opened 208 and a hook up to 213 and a half. 59% are leaning Toronto, 65% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Pacers are plus 120 for some money line cash. Now, the Pacers have won their last 6 straight ball games. They're also 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. This Indiana defense is allowing just 101 points per contest overall for the year. They're also covering 83% of their games, taking on teams over 550. Now, Toronto, on the other side, completely different story there. They failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9 that was played at the current number. Toronto also is facing Kyle Lowry with a back injury, and they've failed to cover in 8 out of their last 11 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, Toronto 6-2 to the over in their last 8. Indiana 5-1 to the over in their last 6. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it up, take Indiana plus 3 in the over, 213 and a half in that one. Next and final game for the show for our NBA slate of games, it is going to be Charlotte at Phoenix, 8 o'clock tip-off in the desert. Charlotte opened the betting as the 2.5-point favorite, and the total at 224. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of Charlotte when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing a little movement upward on the total as well. Charlotte's now -2 with the total moving upward to 224.5. So once again, the Hornets open 2.5 down to -2. Total open 224 up to 224 and a hook. 62% are leaning Charlotte, 72% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, Phoenix is plus 115 for some money line cash. Now, Phoenix is just 9-31 straight up overall for the year, 9-12 against the spread at home. This Phoenix offense is scoring just 105 points per contest on their home court. They're also covering just 14% of their games, taking on teams between 450 and 550. So teams with a win percentage of 450 and 550, teams that fall right in between that win percentage of 450 and 550, Phoenix is covering just 14% of their games against them. Now, scoring-wise, Phoenix is 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Charlotte 5-0 to the over in their last 5 away from home. Give me Charlotte -2 in the over, 224.5 in that one. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and slide into our college slate of games, and we are going to cue this up on the board here, and we're going to begin with Indiana at Michigan. That is a 4:30 tip-off in Michigan. The Wolverines open the betting as the 8-point favorite, the total at 132.5. Since those markets opened that one up, we've seen a little movement toward Michigan, a little money on Michigan. We've also seen movement upward on the total as well. Right now, the Wolverines are -8.5 with the total moving upward to 134 and a hook. So once again, Michigan opened 8 up to 8.5. Total open 132.5 up to 134.